Welcome back to IllumiNation Network Podcast. Joining me today, we have Brianna Holbrook. Thank you so much for joining us today, Brianna, for our first interview style podcast.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
And so, a lot of what we're interested in talking about today is your practice with plant medicines. When you specifically reach out to me in terms of cacao and Kambo, that really sparked my attention. So, I guess what really got you started on this journey, first off?
Oh, well, that's kind of a long story, but I'll try to keep it brief. Let's see, it's been 6 years ago now. My husband committed suicide, and this really shattered my whole world. I had kind of heard a little bit about stuff like this, but I thought it was mostly just hippie stuff. I didn't really know much about it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, And after my husband passed away, I started to become a little more interested in all of it. But it wasn't until 8 months after my husband passed away that my father also passed away.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
yeah, and they were both suicide. So this really, really rocked my world. I fell into an extremely deep, dark depression. I felt so alone and abandoned. And about a week after, and I had, after my dad passed away, I went and turned to alcohol and drugs to try to numb my pain and deal with it as much as I possibly could, um, which was not the right way to do it, but um, I was pretty much a disaster. And then a little bit after my dad's funeral, I found out I was pregnant,
Oh my
and
gosh.
I knew that this was a hookup because I had been drunk and hooked up with somebody, and um, and so I knew that I needed to stop drinking and partying because I needed to be there for this baby.
Mm-hmm.
I also knew I was going to be a single mom, so I quit partying and drinking and stuff, but during my pregnancy. But when my son was born, the first few months, honestly, it was pretty blissful. I felt like I had purpose and like I was gonna be okay because I had this little child that gave me hope and purpose. But within about 3 or 4 months, the PTSD kicked in again, and the trauma and my depression. So I got desperate because I started to fantasize a little bit about suicide myself. And
Oh my
I
gosh.
even kind of looked at my husband and dad like they were courageous enough to do it.
Mm.
And when I started having those thoughts, I realized that that's when I really needed help. So I went to several different doctors. They prescribed me all kinds of medications. I tried all kinds of antidepressants, anti-anxiety. Most of them made me feel more crazy. And one of them, I remember in particular, made me feel more suicidal. And I remember one day I was checking Facebook and I saw that one of my friends
Oh.
so well. And so I reached out to him and I'm like, so what are you doing? That's like, why are you seem so happy? Like, what are you doing? And so he had told me, he had asked if I had ever heard of mushrooms, like magic mushrooms. And
Yeah.
well, yeah, but not thinking of mushrooms as anything medicinal, but like, okay, a party thing, that's all I had seen it
Right.
as.
Seeing funny
And
colors
he,
and dragons and stuff.
yeah, like, oh, you just get messed up. And he said, no, I've been microdosing
Uh
them
huh.
every day, and it's cured my PTSD and my depression. It's
Wow.
completely cured it.
Yeah.
And I was feeling so hopeless that I was like, I'm willing to try whatever. I don't care. I'll try whatever. I need to be there for my child. Um and for my younger siblings too, because they had lost their brother-in-law and their dad as well. And I'm the oldest of six. So I have five younger siblings,
Mm-hmm.
and I felt like I need to be there for my mom too.
That sounds like
So
such a crucial moment for like seeing that pit and just wanting to climb out of it, saying, I know there's a ladder somewhere in here. You're gonna find it, and you did.
yeah, I did, and with my friend's help, he was able to help me microdose. And microdosing, you don't feel, you don't get
Mm-hmm.
psycho effects at all. But I remember the day so clearly. I'm gonna get emotional, but it was about 2 weeks after I started microdosing, and I hadn't really felt anything that I had noticed until all of a sudden I was driving with my son in the back seat in his car seat, and I saw the sunset, and I was like, oh my gosh, the sunset is so beautiful. Like,
Mm.
it's so beautiful. And it just all hit me that I realized I hadn't enjoyed the sunset in a long time.
Mm.
It had been a very long time. And that it was because of the microdosing the mushrooms. And so that is what opened up my whole world to plant and natural healing. Was that started my hope. It's like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, this helps.
The beauty of the world sparking that desire to change routines and things. What was it, do you
Yeah.
feel, that made you not see the sunset for such a long time?
Well, definitely. I feel like PTSD, having my husband commit suicide, and then my father commit suicide, and then getting pregnant, all just so close together, and being a single mom, definitely developed like some major depression and anxiety, and those hopeless feelings, where I would wake up and feel like, what's the point? Like, what's the
Yeah.
point? I lost my dad, I lost my husband. Life is not going how I planned. I did everything right. I met someone. We got married. We bought a house. I was now alone in this house that we owned together, and so yeah, it was definitely it was depression. It was affecting me, emotionally and mentally, but also physically too. I developed all kinds of autoimmune disorders, which
Mm.
now I have fought off with Kambo, which is a different story. But yeah, I got into Kambo because my emotional trauma turned into autoimmune diseases.
Mm. Yeah, it's crazy how, like, when we experience such traumatic things, that, like, it comes to the forefront of our awareness, and it's such a big thought, it's such a big feeling, that it's hard to even see past that haze until we have an experience that really shows us what's on the other side of it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And so,
Yeah, and I.
I'm
Oh,
sorry,
sorry. Go ahead.
for those who don't know, what is combo?
So Kambo, and it's spelled Kambo. It is a secretion, and it comes off of the back of what's called a giant monkey frog, or a combo frog, or Phyllomedusa bicolor is the scientific name for this frog.
Hmm.
And it's a big green frog. It's about this big, and it lives in the Amazon, in Brazil and Peru, in the jungle, and it's a secretion that comes out of the back of this frog, and people collect it. They scrape it off the back, and you burn the top few layers of your skin, and you actually put this secretion directly on your skin to get into your lymphatic system.
Okay, so just like a vaccine shot, they put it in the arm so it goes to the armpit lymphatic system. Wow.
Yeah, you can actually place it. You can place it in many parts of your body because your lymphatic system goes throughout your entire body, but you do have more, larger lymph nodes around your armpit area. And so usually I have it done, and then I do it because I'm a practitioner. So I apply the medicine on people. I like to do it on people's arms, but you can do it on legs, you can do it on your back, um, never on your face, or your throat,
Mm,
or over your heart, just because that can be a little bit too intense and hit you too fast.
gotcha.
Um,
Okay. Yeah. I've heard that combo is considered like nature's vaccine, and that's just because of all of the physical properties that it has that really, like antiviral, for example. What are some of the other health benefits of combo?
so Kambo, there's not a lot of, science background of it, especially here in the U.S. A man named Peter Gorman, he wrote the book Sapo in My Soul. He is the first guy who brought Kambo to the U.S. About 30 years ago.
Mm,
And there's there's many benefits. There's a lot of people that will swear by Kambo, me being one of them. But the science, the only scientific proof we have about Kambo is that one thing is that it has 15 different bioactive peptides in it, and it's very high concentrated amounts of peptides. And we know that peptides are good for inflammation, eating away inflammation, collagen, building up collagen, so it's good for your hair, it's good for the elasticity in your skin. It's also antiviral, like you were saying, it's antibacterial. Um, it's been known to help with anxiety and depression because it helps you create more serotonin in your brain. So if you struggle with depression, Kambo's been huge. I have a lot of clients that come in like, I'm just really depressed, and so we do Kambo, and they feel great. So it's been used Kambo in the jungles for thousands of years. It's also known as the warrior medicine because in the jungle for, like I said, thousands of years, the tribes have used it on their warriors and their hunters the day before a war or a hunt because it actually heightens your senses.
Wow.
By a lot. Yeah, and for example, you can see better. Colors are more clear. You can see further. I had one client recently tell me right after her session, we were sitting outside, and she's like, "I can tell that the wind is blowing from the east right now." And I just laughed. I was like, "Oh my gosh." That's how it is. You can hear better. You notice more things like if you're walking, you notice a little bug crawling on the ground. So it also gives you a lot of energy. Now, like I said, this is all stuff that we have had a hard time, at least Western medicine, proving scientifically why this works. But there has been in I don't remember which companies, and I don't even know if I'm allowed to say, but I know there's been a couple pharmaceutical companies here in the U.S. that have tried to patent Kambo, and they can't because the Kambo frogs, they can only produce the secretion in the wild.
Right.
So that's basically you can't have them you can have them in captivity, you can raise them in captivity, but they will not produce the kampook, which is the secretion on their back.
Wow.
So yeah, so it's pretty magical.
Yeah, I mean, just the physiology of the frog itself is the magic, and so trying to recreate it in a lab setting, trying to put the frogs themselves in the lab setting, all of that seems to fail because it takes them out of the environment, which creates magic, and that seems to be one that's in tune with nature, in tune with presence. And from what it sounds like, all of these peptides, they move the emotion out of the body, and then once the body is more in tune, you become more aware of what's outside of the body.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, definitely. It's really quite a magical medicine, and it is very intense. It is not one that I would never say to just go do it. I would say always make sure you know who you're going to. Do not just go try Kambo with anybody. Also, do not apply it on yourself without having an experienced practitioner there to help you. Because certain doses you need to make sure, especially if you've never done it on yourself, that you start small and see how your body reacts. Some people, they only need 1 point or 1 dot or 1 burn, whatever you want to call it. It's called different things, gates, dots, whatever. Some people can go up to 10, and they can, but it is a warrior medicine. It's very intense. It will make you purge. The purge is normally in throwing up, and with my practice, I have seen all kinds of crazy vomit. So you actually fast to 10 hours before you do Kambo. And Kambo is very detoxifying. And so I have seen, you don't have anything in your stomach except water. You drink a lot of water right before to help you in the purging. But I've seen blue vomit. I've seen black. I've seen bright green. And this is because of releasing those toxins.
Wow.
Yeah, and after I saw the blue, I was really freaked out. I was like, how do you have blue?
Yeah.
So I talked to one of a shaman that I know that helped train me in Kambo, And he said that he's seen that before with people who have toxic buildup in their bodies from dyes, from candies and different foods.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's not that it was in this person's stomach. It's that it was built up in their body.
Wow.
So blue dye. Yeah. And it got that out. So yeah, it's intense.
And that just speaks on how America is one of the few countries in the world who doesn't ban toxic products. And once something does get banned, they just use a new thing which hasn't been studied yet, and then that gets banned, and they move on. And these corporations essentially are playing with our personal health in order to gain profit. And so, thank goodness plant medicines like Kambo exist for us to purge all of that out.
Yes, absolutely. I know I'm honestly pretty sickened by the whole system
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that even organic foods are allowed to use pesticides. So really, truly, unless you grow your own garden or you get food from a farmer's market or something like that, you really don't know what's in your food.
Yeah.
Um, Even a lot of meats, they have red dye added to them. So
Just to make it look more like real meat that wasn't grown in a lab or, you know,
yeah.
pushed into a kennel. Oh.
Exactly, exactly. So it doesn't look old and brown
Yeah.
because it's been sitting on the shelf for a while.
Oof.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty bad.
And especially what you had said about starting small. That's something I like to advocate with any psychedelic, any new substance that you're bringing into your body, into your lifestyle, into your healing. Always start small. See how your mental health responds. See how your physical health responds, and typically go through a practitioner like Brianna here, and do it the safe way. Do it through a way that's brought back with tradition and training, and to understand anything that might happen to you, and for you to know when you undertake this healing process that you are being held and that this person is here to help you. It makes a world of difference than doing it on your friend's living room floor and wondering if you got the right dose.
Yeah, yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
And there's definitely, during your ceremony, but then there's also the integration after, because you can have, even though Kambo is not considered a psychedelic, you can have some pretty intense emotional experiences on Kambo that sometimes don't make a lot of sense in the moment.
Mm.
And it's nice to have a practitioner or someone that knows the medicine and can help you and is able to hold that space for you so that they can help you integrate after.
Mm.
Because you can definitely have some intense experiences, not just physically with Kambo, but definitely emotionally and mentally. So having that integration after to understand what's happened to you is so important.
Do you feel like some of those emotional responses to the body being cleansed might come from, say, like the gut biome who's been used to eating sugar since we were 3 years old, and suddenly all the sugar's gone, and our bodies are just like going through full withdrawal that we've grown used to these toxins?
Absolutely, yeah, totally. Our gut really is our first brain. People like to say it's the second brain, but no, our brain is our second brain. And when you're feeding your gut bad things, you can develop mental issues. And actually, they're finding there's more studies, and I wish I could quote who, I'm not sure, but there's been some studies I've read about that they think that actually things mental illnesses like schizophrenia stem from not your brain, but actually from your gut
Mm.
and the gut health. So when you take Kambo and you are detoxifying and you're throwing up all of these things, it can absolutely cause an emotional response because you can not only be purging your physical toxins, but emotional buildup toxins because your gut carries those emotions that you
Mm.
feel that you think come from your brain. Um, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
If that makes sense,
definitely.
but
So with a medicine like this, it's also good to maybe go over your diet after this for integration to really examine what led you to become so toxified, and then make those changes as you come back into your routine.
definitely. So I always tell people I have some guidelines, combo guidelines, and some of those things are like avoiding dairy 3 days before. And not every practitioner does this. To be honest, there's so many different opinions on what you should do before combo and after.
Mm-hmm.
But I tend to stay away from certain things like dairy 3 days before, red meats a few days before, candy, sugar, really just the things that your digestive system has a hard time digesting and just isn't good for you.
Mm.
It makes the combo not just easier, but it gets you kind of prepared to change your lifestyle. I have people tell me all the time that their intention, because I also have people set intentions before their ceremony,
Mm-hmm.
and it can be anything. It can be an emotional intention, like I want to know what's up with my relationship with my partner, or I want to get rid of whatever it is. Like it can be anything. But I've had some people, actually a lot of people, say that they didn't have the intention of quitting some kind of substance. Like actually yesterday, a client of mine called me and was like, "Oh my gosh, or no, we were talking in person." He's like, "I just realized that ever since we did our combo, I haven't been smoking cannabis as much, and
Wow.
I was smoking a lot before." And it's not that cannabis is bad. It's
Mm-hmm.
just he realized he wasn't smoking it in moderation. And so a common thing I hear after combo is that people want to moderate things. They want to moderate the amount of food they're eating. Like
Mm.
I don't feel like overeating ever since combo. Or I haven't even smoked a cigarette, and that was not one of my intentions. I didn't think I'd ever
Yeah.
quit. So it's really good because once you get those toxins out, you don't feel like acting on those addictions as much anymore.
Mm-hmm. I can see definitely with marijuana, especially a lot of people smoke marijuana for the cannabinoids and cannabinoids in it that reduce inflammation. And so if you took Kambo and all of your inflammation's gone, your main desire for smoking cannabis is like go out the window.
Yes, exactly, exactly. And sleep too. I've heard a lot of people come back and say, "Oh my gosh, I'm sleeping so much better
Oh.
since combo." But then it's crazy because I wake up and I have so much energy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's really beautiful.
Mm. When we had talked before, you also mentioned cacao. What exactly is the difference between cacao and like chocolate as it's seen in the stores?
So there's a big difference, and a lot of people get really confused. So for one, the chocolate, say like Hershey's chocolate,
Mm-hmm.
that comes from a totally different. It's kind of like a branched off tree. So there's all the original cacao trees, and then we've kind of taken and genetically modified them to create these new trees that are way more hardy, but they don't create the cacao pods that are full of as much nutrition, because obviously things like companies that want to mass produce chocolate, they want a tree that's hardy, that's going to last, that isn't going to die very easy,
Mm.
and they don't care too much about nutrition, right? Because they're making candies.
Yeah.
So the cacao trees, they are harder to keep alive, for one. They have to be in very specific climates, like Guatemala and Peru, Brazil. There's certain forests, cacao forests there. They also take a lot more care. They need a lot more. They need a very specific temperature. So they're very, very picky. They're super picky. Um, but they also are full of a lot more nutrition. The cacao pods is actually the bean too. It's the bean inside of the little pod that we use for the cacao instead of the fruit.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not as sweet and it doesn't have any sugar. It's high in fat, but it's high in really good healthy fats. And it's very bitter, but it's full of antioxidants. It's also got just a little bit of caffeine,
Mm-hmm.
but it's natural caffeine, so it's
Okay.
a stimulant, and so it's good for energy and things like that. But not just that, but it's also the process of it is very different. So when you buy, like, say, chocolate or dark chocolate at the store, the process that they put those cacao, those little beans through, is totally different and takes out pretty much all the nutritional value
Mm.
than, like, say, ceremonial cacao, where basically they don't do any process.
Mm.
They take the little bean out and dry it in the sun, or they roast it in the oven. They crush it up, and then they add a little bit of water to make it into a paste, and then put it into like a little block, and then that's it.
Wow.
Whereas, like, chocolate has probably 20 steps that goes through, where it takes all the nutrition away from it along the way.
Mm-hmm.
just to keep, and end up with just sugar, basically.
Yeah, sugar in like the skeleton of what cacao used to be.
Yeah, you get no nutrition.
Yeah, and so you mentioned cacao ceremony. How exactly does a ceremony work with this?
So, I've been to a couple and it varies, ceremony to ceremony. But basically, so I'm a cacao ceremonialist also. And I learned from somebody, but I also kind of did it on my own because you can do it however you want. Everyone does it slightly different. But the basis of basically a cacao ceremony is you get people together, and you make it like a ceremonial setting. So there's usually like a prayer, um, setting intentions. Intentions are very important for any ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then you make the cacao, and it's a drink. And traditionally, all it is the cacao and water. But a lot of people, that's very bitter. And so most people like me, I'll add dates
Ooh,
and honey.
those are some
Yeah.
good natural sweeteners.
Oh yes, oh yeah, and I like to put it in a Vitamix and blend it up because it makes it kind of frothy.
Mm.
I also like to put cardamom oil in it. I'm very particular about what oil I use though, like essential oil, because a lot of them you can't consume. So I would recommend DoTerra, just because you can consume that one.
Okay.
Sometimes I'll put like orange, like wild orange in it, which is really good. Um, and then you blend it up and it gets all frothy and you use it with hot water, so it's warm and then it's kind of like hot chocolate sort of. And for me, what I do is I have everyone sit in a circle. We do some breathing exercises and then we pray over the cacao. And then everyone will take their cacao and hold it and infuse their intention into it. So I have everyone close their eyes and just picture their intention going into their cacao. And your intention can be anything. I like to kind of set like a group intention, but everyone can do their own.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get the cacao, and people usually feel it within 10 to 15 minutes as you digest it. And it's a stimulant. It does have natural caffeine in it. So, but it's also energetically, it's a heart opener. And so you just feel so much love and energy. And so I have everybody lay down, and usually I have people have blankets and pillows and get comfortable. And I have it be dark, so I usually do in the evening. And then I have a bunch of different sound healing instruments. So I have like a rab bass drum, I have a hand pan, I have crystal singing bowls, thunder drum, I've got chimes, swinging chimes, kinds of things. And I just go at it and I do a whole sound bath while people are in the cacao. And it's the most incredible. I feel like I get so much out of it just doing the cacao ceremony for everybody.
Yeah.
And I do like once a month, and I usually do between 15 and 20 people at a time, and it's totally incredible. I've had people say that it's totally changed their life. These instruments are tuned at specific frequencies, so it really does. I feel like it changes your DNA. I don't know. I mean, just energetically, it makes
Yeah.
you different.
All those
Yeah.
all those toxins, all those parasites are holding onto the body and they weigh you down. But these are activators. These are cleaners, and you leave the experience feeling so cleansed. And I can't wait to try this myself. This is one on my list that I can't wait to get around to. And yeah, thank you so much for sharing information about that. In terms of the Kambo experience, how long does the traditional Kambo experience last?
So are you talking about like when you actually during the ceremony?
Yeah, during the ceremony.
So usually most people, as soon as I put it on their skin, it's like 10, sometimes less, 5 seconds to 30 seconds, and you start to feel it. And usually the first minute you sort of feel, and this is general, every person is so different, but generally, you start to feel it and you kind of feel like as if you're running, that feeling of running, and your heart will race really quick.
Wow.
And most people feel really good. Most people are like, whoa, it's like that adrenaline, like
yeah,
kind of thing. But within about a minute, then a lot of people will feel hot, um, kind of a little bit like that feeling right before you faint. If anyone's
Ooh.
fainted before, most people don't faint. I've had a couple people faint, but that's the worst thing that's happened. They wake up within a few seconds, and that's pretty common. It's intense. And then, yeah, most people within a minute or two will vomit. But the whole thing normally lasts between 8 and 15 minutes.
Mm.
And you usually peak between 5 and 8 minutes, and then after that, you kind of come down and it wears off. I always tell people, I give them the choice, like, hey, if you ever at any point, even if it's 30 seconds into it, want it off, I will take it off. Because either way, you've gotten the medicine. It's in your lymphatic system. So, but I do usually challenge people to keep it on as long as they can, just because getting through that whole thing is it's good for you physically, but also emotionally to know that you can do it, because
Right.
it is hard, it's warrior medicine. Um, so yeah, I mean, most people it's like 15 minutes and I take it off, and within about an hour, most people feel super great. When I do it, usually the effects wear off, yeah, within an hour, but then usually the day of, I'm pretty tired
Mm-hmm.
and I take it easy. But the day after, I feel like I can go climb a mountain. Like, let's do this.
Yeah. You the way you inspire people to push through that barrier too, that reminds me of a quote by Rumi where he says, every journey, every experience has a genesis and ends in a revelation, and so that push really helps people to get there, and that's part of being a practitioner.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, I love Rumi.
So what exactly does the come down feel like? So the come up, your body's heating up. Is it kind of like mushrooms, where suddenly you just notice that it's over, or is it more of just like a gradual return to normal as like you kind of associate the new feelings in your body?
You know, it totally depends on the person. I've
Yeah.
had some people where they're just like, oh my gosh, and it hits them so hard so fast, and then suddenly they're like, they throw up and they're like, oh, I'm done. Wow, I feel like normal. And it's still on, and they're, I'm done.
Wow.
Other people, it's like, it takes them a while to get out of it. I do feel like normally in general it's more gradual. That you feel okay, you feel really bad, and I always warn everybody, okay, you're probably gonna have a moment, and this is usually when it's at its peak, where you're like, what am I doing? Oh shit, why am I doing this? Like, am I gonna die?
Yeah.
Because you do have that moment of like, what the hell? But if you can, I tell everybody, if you can just push past that,
Right.
you will start to feel better and it will come back down and you'll be okay. But, and no matter, you will be okay. If you are with an experienced practitioner, you'll be okay. But if you've never done it before, in my opinion, and a practitioner wants to do more than one dot, 1 point, one gate, um, I would say don't go with them because you always want to start your first time with one,
Okay.
just to see how your body reacts, because you could be sensitive.
Mm.
Um, you do great, you could skip to four, just depending on how you're feeling. Work with a practitioner, make sure you listen to your body. Also depends on the medicine.
Mm-hmm.
So I get my medicine directly from the Moxie's tribe in Peru, and so it's very fresh, and it's a lot stronger, because the older it gets, the less potent it is.
Mm.
And also depends on if it's a male frog or a female frog.
Interesting.
Yeah, and when you get a stick, normally it's not from one frog. More than likely, you're gonna have multiple frog secretions on one combo stick.
Mm.
So that can vary too. So you don't want to ever go into it feeling like, I always tell people, don't go into it with any expectations of yourself or the medicine, and don't go into it with any judgments of yourself or the medicine.
Yeah.
Because I've done, the most I've done in one sitting was 10 dots or 10 points. And to be honest, that was pretty intense, but not as intense as a ceremony I did where I did 6 points.
Mm.
So it's not about the dots, it's not about the points, I've noticed, depending on your intention too, that can change it. If you have an intense intention, you might have an intense ceremony.
Okay.
If you go into it with an intention that's not so intense, like I have a client who has cancer, and she is fighting her cancer currently with Kambo,
Wow.
and her sessions are pretty hard. Yeah, they're pretty hard. And then I have other clients that they're like, I just feel a little toxic. My body's just a little toxic, and their sessions aren't as hard
Mm-hmm.
as far as physically, because their intentions are different.
Like maybe they just
So
ate a chocolate cake like 2 weeks before that wasn't really well sourced.
yeah, yeah, exactly. They had some bad cacao that wasn't really cacao.
Yeah. So
So
in the situation where say someone understands that they have a lot of toxicity in the body and they're planning to, use combo as a main tool to facilitate the purging of all of those toxicities, what's usually the time in between each session as they build an experience with the substance?
So that totally varies too, completely. What's recommended by most shamans and most experienced practitioners and teachers and mentors and stuff is 3 sessions per lunar cycle.
Mm.
So that's not that many. But the thing is, when you are someone fighting cancer, that's a little different. Um, like, for example, my client was coming in for a while every 2 weeks to
Mm-hmm.
do it. Although she was doing what I like to refer to as like a smaller dose, which is between 1 and 3
Okay.
points in every 2 weeks. Um, but I really like to listen to my people, because truly, I feel like you really know yourself better than anybody else. So yes, you should go to someone that knows the medicine, but the thing is, you know your body. So when you get a feeling about something, you need to listen to your intuition. And so I am
Definitely.
very open to listening to whatever my client is telling me, because they know themselves more than I do.
Right.
I can help guide them, but they always know more. So it is recommended 3 per lunar cycle, but that that's totally depends on the person too.
Yeah, and so with that, a red flag for someone who is seeking combo and looking at a practitioner would be a practitioner kind of being imposing about what they think the person should do, as well as starting with more than one.
Yes. If you ever go to somebody and you're feeling like, oh, I just need one. Oh, something I see a lot actually
Mm-hmm.
with practitioners is them saying you should always increase points every time you go in for a combo session. I don't agree with that,
Mm-hmm.
because I say, like I said, I'm very, very intense about listening to the person. So if someone, if I have a client come in, they do 1 point, and the next time they want to do two, and then the time after that they want to do two again. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
They're still getting the medicine. They're still getting the healing. Um, uh, yes, I think that you don't want to give in to fear. So if you're feeling like it's because you're really scared, that's different than listening to your intuition say, no, you only need 2 points for
Right.
your healing. So I work with people with that. Like, okay, are you coming from fear, or are you coming from that's what you feel like your body needs?
Right.
But yeah, don't if a practitioner is like, no, I know, like that's to me that's a bad sign. I mean,
That
if
sounds
you
like a
would
bad
rather
sign
be
to me too.
yeah, yeah. And if you're someone that would rather be told what to do, maybe that might work out for you, but I like to listen to the person.
Mm-hmm.
They usually know more than I would know
Mm-hmm.
about what they need.
Definitely. And so with anyone who does kind of feel like they need to be led, um, I would just encourage those people to educate themselves more. There may not be a lot of scientific, clinical backed trials proving combo, but that's because it is so new to the West. Whereas in these indigenous cultures, how long has it been being used there?
Oh, thousands of years. I mean,
Yeah.
it's been a long time. Like I don't even know honestly how long. I've just heard thousands, and I've talked to personally. I have met and I work with many of the shamans directly in Peru who have been administering combo, who have been ayahuasca shamans, iboga priests. who are initiated in 20 different African tribes. I mean, things like that. That is how I've educated myself, is by personally talking to these people, because yeah, you can go on Google and you can search as much as you want, and some of it's helpful. I think the most helpful things are the YouTube videos of people going to these other countries and talking to the people, the indigenous tribes there. But yeah, but for me, the best thing I've done is personally communicate with these people and personally have relationships with these people,
Right.
that their family, goes back so many years that they've been doing these things.
Firsthand accounts of this healing taking place for thousands of years is by far the best clinical trial we could ever ask for. And so, if anyone is interested in researching this, I encourage them to, just like you said, go to YouTube, look up firsthand accounts, reach out to Brianna here for a consult, and really get a more deeper understanding of how this could serve you. And maybe some of the toxins that may be in your body, and you see this as a ladder out of your pit, and something that can really show you the way you're looking for so long. And this is it. This is a one method to heal the body. And thank you so much for coming to share your light with us here on IllumiNation Network, Brianna.
Thank you.
For anyone who's interested in coming to one of your ceremonies, or finding out more about what you're doing, where can they find you?
So I have a Facebook. Facebook is really good. It's Utah Kambo. So UTAH and then space KAMBO. So you can find me on there on my Facebook page, but you can also look up my personal Facebook if you'd like. It's Brianna Holbrook, so BRIANNA, and then space HOLBROOK. I also have a website, and I think you said, are you gonna post my link to?
Yeah, I will.
Okay. But if anyone wants to get on I have my website too, where I sell different Amazonian products. So if you want cacao, we get our cacao directly from the tribes. There's no middlemen with our Kambo, with our cacao, any of our medicines. We make sure we pay the tribes directly and the shamans directly. And yeah, we offer lots of different services on there.
Awesome. So for anyone watching this on YouTube, it'll be in the comments below. Same for social medias, it'll be in the comments. Also for the next week, it'll be in the IllumiNation Network bio, and as well as Brianna's account. Are there any upcoming projects you'd like to let people know about, or any new developments?
Well, so something else that I do, I know we didn't really get into ayahuasca, but I do host ayahuasca retreats in Peru and Costa Rica.
Okay.
So I have an upcoming retreat August 21st through the 29th, and it's in Peru. We're going to be flying into Lima. So if you're interested in sitting with Mother Ayahuasca, which is another medicine that has totally changed my life, then I also do host those retreats. So feel free to reach out to me. It is on my website with some of the details. If not, you can reach out to me and ask any questions, and I would be happy to share it with you. For this next retreat, we have 3 spots left.
Okay.
So usually I take and I do it twice a year. So if you can't make it to this one, I'll have another one. Okay. Usually between 15 to 20 people at a time. So that's kind of something I'm doing right now, one of my next projects.
Awesome. Healing the mind with the Kambo and healing the spirit with the ayahuasca.
Yes. Yep.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and until next time, everybody.
Thank you.